Hello there, guys. It's Ben here from SW6 Lions TV. I hope you're all well. Tonight, I should say, we're joined by George. George, how are you, mate?
All good, mate. You?
Yeah, mate. All good, all good. Bobby boy down there, how are you, mate? You good?
Fantastic. Happy days. All good.
Good, good. And last but not least, we've got Turkish. Turkish, how are you, dude? You all right?
Yeah, I could be better, but yeah, we'll get into all of that.
What's that? Yeah, we'll get into that. Don't worry about that. We'll get into it. Lads, thanks all for coming on tonight. I appreciate your time. Turkish, we'll get straight into it. We'll start with you. So from an outsider, like looking at Arsenal, is this like the worst place you've ever been in, like being a supporter?
Yeah, for me, yeah. I know before I was old enough to start going games and supporting, we did have other dire seasons before the Premier League was about and so on. So it has been worse. But in terms of me supporting the club, I've never felt so disconnected with the club before. And that's the biggest problem. It's not necessarily the quality and finishing eighth a couple of times. It's the disconnection that slowly but surely occurred over the last 10, 15 years with this ownership. That's the biggest gripe I have. Right.
Just with the ownership, or do you think there's more to it?
It all stems from the ownership. Literally, I feel confident enough to, if people say it's Arteta, I can show them why it is Kroenke, because I agree with people that say it's Arteta, but, you know, just changing Arteta doesn't change it all. If people say Edu, I agree. Some of the players, I agree. Vinay, I agree. But all in all, an ambitious owner that wants to win doesn't hire inexperienced people in the positions that he put them in. An ambitious owner doesn't allow Wenger and Gazidis, you know, the 2, 3, 4, 5 years that, to be honest, he should have left before. Yeah. So I think an ambitious owner, you know, runs this club a lot differently to what it's been run over the last 10, 15.
Yeah, I've actually got to agree with that as an outsider. George, what do you think? What do you think about that? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with the points he's made. It's for me as well, it's the lack of identity that we now have. I think we go back to sort of the years of Wenger and we used to be able to relate back to sort of the football we used to play. We used to be enjoyable to watch. I think we've now lost that, and not only lost that, I think we've lost characters along the way. And you look at sort of trying to find a character in the team now. We don't have any. Tierney's probably the closest thing to.
You have Xhaka.
Yeah, we'll talk about him in a minute. But yeah, that's the most disappointing thing for me. I think that, as you rightly said, we're feeling disconnected, but it's the loss of identity and just the wrong appointments at the wrong time has been really poor from the club.
Bobby, we'll come to you, right? So you know what Xhaka did last year when he threw off the armband and
year before.
Do you think at Chelsea we would have like accepted that? Like, because he's obviously still their captain now, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. We've had some times, haven't we? When Mourinho and we all thought that the players were turning against him and they're not playing for him. You get all that going around, don't you?
But then, Dad, this is the thing with this. Like, he got sacked, didn't he? I think that's the difference between them. Like Arsenal, they seem to keep it going in a way where we just get rid. And I think that's the brutal mentality of our club, which gets us.
So you felt that Xhaka should have gone for that sort of like actions of himself, really?
I personally looking on from that side, I don't think Xhaka's good enough. Like, even for Arsenal, I don't think he's good enough. I don't know what he's good at.
I thought he was pretty good in the Euros.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was.
Player. But I think the situation that most fans sort of find really offensive at the moment as well, though, is that Xhaka 2 weeks ago was a signature away from joining Roma, and it seemed like it was all done. And he's walked back into the team. Okay, I know a lot of fans have been upset that he's been offered a new deal. I don't think he has been offered a new deal. It's a slight extension on the current deal. But the fact that he's walked back in and led us out on the opening day is beyond a joke, because this is a guy that didn't want to be at the club 2 weeks ago or was thinking about not being at the club. How's his mindset ready to take us into a Premier League season as captain? But that just shows the lack of characters we've got around the club. You know, Aubameyang's not a captain. Aubameyang's not a born leader. You don't see him pulling someone. You know, he hasn't got it in him, and now a lack of form. He's struggling left, right, and centre. So it's hard to see.
What's your view on Xhaka, Turk?
Listen, just what my guy said there earlier in the window, a direct quote from Xhaka is, Arsenal know what I want to do. Rome is a beautiful city. And then he goes into the season captain. it is a contract extension, but there is a little pay rise in that contract extension too. So, you know, that does piss me off, because when over the last few years in particular, we hear that wages are a big part of the reason why we can only loan players, or we have our hands tied behind our back. You know, year on year, we're still making the same mistakes. We've given Xhaka a pay rise off the back of no other European club, aside for Roma, wanting him for more than 15 mil. So we thought it wise to give him an extension and a little pay rise. Doesn't make sense. Willian last year, for example, he's on close to 200k. It's not making sense. So it does gripe me that, you know, he's got a new contract and an extension, when, you know, it's evidence to see that no club wanted him off the back of what many call a good Euro tournament.
I do agree with you there, to be fair. I think that is shocking, to be fair. But George,
his attitude actually on the pitch isn't bad, is it?
Yes and no. He's kind of left. He's put us in it sometimes, in a sense that he loses his cool, or, you know, he makes a mistake in a crucial part of the pitch, which costs a goal or costs a shot on goal. You know, that statistic that since he's been in the league, no other player has more errors leading to goals or shots conceded than Xhaka, speaks volumes. But we continue to go ahead.
Yeah, I think he's poor. Who else have you got there, though? You ain't really got anyone else on the bench, have you, really?
Oh, no, we had Guendouzi coming in, and then now Guendouzi's been let go to Marseille, and we've got Lokonga now. So it's a case of giving a young player a chance again. And I just think at Arsenal, it's not fair on the young players that are going to burden the responsibility of turning this, you know, this shipwreck around.
Yeah. This goes back to the thing as well, as Turkish just said, in terms of youngsters. You know, I see a lot of fans getting excited about the fact that Odegaard's come back today, or looks set to come back. This is a 22-year-old, and don't get me wrong, he's a talented player. This isn't what we need. This isn't the answers we require. Do you know what I mean? This is a man that's going to take us on. He's you know, another player with a lack of experience, no real game time, no real experience at Real Madrid, been out on loan to sort of mediocre clubs in Spain. And now we're sort of, a few fans around today singing like we've just sort of got all the answers now. I don't think it is the case. It's another youngster to rely on. Emil Smith-Rowe, a superb talent, but again, no real game experience, and another youngster to sort of put everything on. And Saka's carried our club for the last 18 months. But it can't happen.
The thing is, though, you've gone out and spent 50 million on Ben White, and you don't really need him, do you? Or do you? Or do you?
No, we needed a centre back badly. Obviously, David Luiz left. I mean, it's not a sort of you know, we needed a centre back. Whether it was right to go and get Ben White 50 million, I don't know. But
I think the fans would have accepted William Saliba being given a chance if you're going to spend that money wisely elsewhere. But if you're sending Saliba out on loan, then right centre back does become a priority.
Yeah. George,
I see today Ramsdale's going to Arsenal as well. 24 million.
I saw that. Yeah. What do you think of that?
It's a strange one as well.
A lot of strange ones at our club.
It's a mad one. But
a lot of talk that he could be coming in as our number one as well. I see today. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but you think of the whole Martinez situation again. Have we managed it right? I don't know. It doesn't seem to be the case
as well, wasn't he?
He's a top keeper, but yeah, I don't know how you can. I mean, it's sort of in hindsight, isn't it? You can never really understand whether it's the right decision or not. But you know, Leno was good for us at the time. He seems to have fallen off a cliff recently, but yeah, we'll wait to see.
George, you liked so when Arteta was appointed, you were obviously like quite for it, weren't you? I
wanted to support him. Yeah, I didn't think it was the worst appointment. I was worried. I was concerned about his lack of experience, but then obviously we all had that small hope that he's come from sort of being behind Pep and would bring the right things to the club. But I think now in a situation like this, you need a manager of experience, and he hasn't got it. And now he's struggling to manage players. You look, as Turkish just said in regards to the Saliba situation, Guendouzi seems to have fallen out of them. Why? Is he a good man manager? I don't know. It doesn't look like it. He now looks to have fallen out of Lacazette and Aubameyang. Maybe that's higher up in the club, but he doesn't look to be able to sort of manage players too well. And now I think this sort of a big club in turmoil like we are, it's way too big for him.
Do you think you're sort of missing the trick here with what we did with Lampard? Bobby, I'm sure you'll agree with me here that looking back on it now, like Lampard was the right decision, obviously, to get sacked. But in that moment, obviously, we were like gutted. But now, obviously, Tuchel's coming. He's changed the whole complexion of the team, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. And it also teaches you that you won't win anything with kids, really. You've got to have that experience. And I think probably Frank will learn from that, hopefully, from when he goes on to his next job. It came too early for him at Chelsea, but he ain't going to turn it down. So,
No.
you know, he did what he could, but obviously Tuchel's a different level at the moment.
Yeah, you guys have someone you can trust in Roman. You know, I think Roman's proved himself over the years to be a winner, and he's got the best interests of the club in terms of winning at heart. So when he makes decisions like that, I can imagine how you lot must have felt with Lampard. I don't put Arteta anywhere near that class. It would have to be an Henry or Vieira in this position for me to feel the same way. Yeah. But when you know Roman hasn't gone more than 4 seasons without the Premier League, for example, you know you can trust him to. Look, it happened with Di Matteo as well. You know, Di Matteo won the Champions League, and then, you know, it wasn't to be. But decisions were right, and you see it with the league titles and the FA Cups and so Champions Leagues and so on.
Turkish, that Abramovich, he's broken our hearts so many times. But as you said, the next season he delivers. So you can't really blame him, to be fair. But
yeah, even this summer, for example.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You know, this is your 4th season without the Premier League, and I've actually predicted Chelsea to win the league. I know if City sign Kane, that changes my prediction a bit, but I think with Lukaku in, with Havertz a year under his belt, the experience of winning the Champions League and so on, I think, you know, Chelsea are the favourites for me for this season.
Jeez, Bobby, what do you think about that? Do you think we're favourites?
Not for me, but yeah,
favourites for you.
I think, yeah, United City for me, but.
I don't think United, but I think City might come.
They impressed me the weekend.
What, United?
Yeah.
Yeah, United were decent on the week. But
and then you got Varane coming in as well.
It's one of them things with United. I don't think Ollie's good enough either. I think he's another one. He's not good enough to win a Premier League over the season. But we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, let's move on to Sunday's game. Obviously, we travelled to the Emirates on the back of it. Obviously, you boys, what are you doing against Brentford, by the way? But you do turn up against us, to be fair. Do you fancy your chances? We'll go with Turkish first.
I don't, I'll be honest. I don't fancy our chances. We got a protest planned against the ownership prior to the game. I'm more focused on that than I am the game. I've got my season ticket, but I won't be attending. And when you see that, I have no... I bought I renewed my season ticket because it's instinct. It's what I've just done throughout my life, and I love the club. But as the season approached closer and you see the transfer activity and you realise that we're in no greater position than we was at the end of last season. No. I have no desire to go and attend and support. So, you know, there is no point in me doing that. Whereas for the protest, I've got a lot of desire for that because I believe that will, you know, enforce the change that needs to happen for me to fall back in love with going to football, with believing again and so on. So I don't have no desire to go this Sunday. Like you said, we tend to pull it out against Chelsea, but I think, you know, those good records always come to an end. And after that Brentford performance and, you know, no Oba, no Laka, potentially Balogun up front again, maybe Eddie Nketiah if he's back. And then you see Lukaku coming in to make his debut. You see how our centre-backs handled Tony against Brentford. The physicality. On top of that, Lukaku has, you know, some other facets to his game. I think we're going to struggle. Do you want my prediction now, or you want to save it?
We'll save it. We'll save it. Georgie, what do you think? Do you think you're struggling? Oh, and also, what's this protest about? Is it about the owner, everything?
Yeah, it's the ownership protest again, similar to what happened before, but obviously there'll be 60,000 there this time. It needs to happen, but I will be a fool that will be attending for some reason. I don't know why, but both. But I mean, like, as in, I said to you before, I don't expect much from the game. I think we'll get overrun in midfield as we did against Brentford. We're not good enough, not physical enough. As Turk said about Lukaku, if he does come in, he could bully us. It would be a typical Arsenal thing to go and get a result after a game like Brentford. But as Turk said, those results normally come to an end. I don't think we can rely on the players we've got at the moment to go and get a result. I'll be very surprised if we get a result.
So what's this protest about? So obviously there's going to be loads of you there because obviously 60,000 are going to the protest. So that's going to be a bit mad, isn't it?
Well, that's the game, but yeah, you'd think they'd all be there.
Yeah, but I think there'll be most of them there because it seems like uproar at your club at the minute. So, Bobby, what do you, as an outsider looking in, what do you think's wrong with their club?
Well, Arsenal. obviously the fan base don't believe in the owner, and the owner just doesn't really communicate with the fans whatsoever. Roman doesn't particularly communicate. He decided to when he sacked Lampard, but generally he just does what he does, and maybe the American owner feels he can do the same, but he doesn't actually back it with the money, does he? He sort of just sort of sits in America and really doesn't have much to do with the club whatsoever. So that's how I see it. They seem to be in a bit of chaos. As far as the weekend goes, I can see Arsenal winning that game. I would fancy it possibly to be a draw, because they're going to have a reaction from the Brentford game. And surprisingly enough, there wasn't much uproar about the fact that for the second goal for Brentford, he actually had his arm interlocked into the goalkeeper. And I think if that had been any other team, they'd have been racing around the ref saying, well, what's going on? The keeper couldn't even make it.
That's one thing week in, week out, I say. We haven't got that sort of nastiness about us to go and bombard the referee and sort of show that nasty side, the sort of side that teams don't want to play against. But also that sort of thing there, Leno's got to own that situation. Someone's got to come and win the ball. It shouldn't even get to that stage where the ball's bouncing like that. But that's the sort of lack of character we've got in the team at the moment, the lack of physicality. And as we were saying in regards to Tony, bullied us, won every ball, won every second ball. They were first at every ball. And I think it falls like that on Sunday. Sorry, it could get quite embarrassing. But up top as well, we're just lacking so much. Again, we were trying to rely on a youngster, Balogun, who's looked very good in the under-23s and in Europe sometimes for us. But you can't rely on him in the Premier League at the moment. He's not ready. It was his first game to be thrown into, and we could struggle. I think even create chances, let alone score them.
Would you fancy Abrams though?
No, I wasn't with it at all.
No,
I wasn't with it at all. No, not for me.
Would you have fancied in Turkish?
No, I like Abraham, but I just feel like we need to clean the debt before we kind of reinvest, because I don't want us to make another mistake whilst we're clearing the deck, and then in 2-3 years we're wondering why we've got Tammy and we can't get rid of him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I think we tried hard to get rid of him as well, to be fair. Turkish, right now, would you sack Arteta right now?
Arteta needs to go. But sacking him right now, you're giving, in my opinion, I'd be giving the man that I fully blame another chance to select another manager. And that's why it's not quite black and white as that. I want Arteta gone, I want Edu gone, Vinay gone, and all the way up the ladder. But now I feel like it's time to tackle the top of the ladder, and the rest should fall. Because I feel like with Wenger, we already tackled the manager that was the shield and had all the clout and legendary, status because of what he's achieved at the club. I think once that shield was, gone, I feel like we should have focused on Kroenke, but instead it turned to Emery, and it's going to turn to Arteta now.
I think that is the difference between us two clubs. I think it's just the owners, and it's literally just the owners who they bring.
Look, Ben, listen, if it was me, I'd sack Arteta and bring in Conte, but I would have done this at the start of the transfer window. We just finished 8th. He played a false 9 in the semi-final of the Europa League in one leg, and in the other leg, he said because we didn't have Xhaka at left back, it caused problems for our preparation. He should have been sacked at the end of the season. Conte should have been brought in, and then I would believe, forget the transfer window for a sec, that would be a move where I'm like, okay. And even if we've gone and spent 70 million in the market with Antonio Conte, there's someone I can trust there that has, footballing background. He's done things within the game here, over in Italy and so on. That's something I can believe in. But just sacking Arteta now, this current ownership might just turn to who God knows who next. Let's be honest, we've been linked to Eddie Howe and so on. So
the thing is, getting in Conte, he's going to want all his players, isn't he? He's going to go in there straight away demanding. He's going to want
a lot of money. He's going to want a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing with Conte.
But you look at how much we spent this summer, and this is why it's so frustrating, because Arteta and Ed, towards the end of the season with the Super League stuff, Kroenke was the prime target for Arsenal fans. But as this transfer window has gone on, Arteta and Edu have made themselves targets through some of the decisions they've made. It wasn't Kroenke that gave Xhaka the captaincy, for example. It was Arteta on the day. And these are the decisions that kind of Emery fell by in the end. And it looks like these are the decisions that Arteta will fall by in the end. So
It's mad. George, what about you?
I think the thing, referring back to the owners as well, although Abramovich has made some questionable decisions over the years, and there are things that fans have been upset with, you can always fall back on that there's a chance he's doing it for the best interest of the club and for them to progress. You look at all the decisions that Kroenke's made over the years, or lack of decisions he's made, not even turning up at games. You know, you see Abramovich, he's almost at every game. You don't see Kroenke anywhere. And you can't actually argue with his decisions that are the best interest of the club. It's more sort of trying to manage it from a distance and sort of stay away from it. And as Turkish said, it's sort of the recent sort of activity with Arteta and Edu is sort of plastered over the fact that the problem is Kroenke, and it's all gone a bit quiet on that front. So I'm glad the protest is going ahead. Things do need to change. Arteta does need to go, as much as I really wanted it to work for him. It hasn't. And we've got 5 games coming up that I think will dictate whether he stays in the job or not. Within those 5 games, we've got Chelsea, obviously, Tottenham and City. I think if we lose all 3 of them, he can't really argue against anything. I think the right will be on the wall, sort of thing. So, and it's quite possible that we could lose all 3 of them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. But the thing is, like, how do you attack the top? Like, it's quite easy saying.
He can't, because he just refuses, doesn't he? We've already seen it, haven't we? When the
That's the thing where you can't. Yeah.
You're in the mud, really, because you can always blame Arteta, but at the minute it comes from the owners as well, don't it? And attacking them is obviously you got to cut their pockets.
There's multiple facets to it. You know, protesting is one thing, and the fans in London can do that, and we will do that. We will show our faces and raise our voices in our protest. But merchandise is another thing. TV, switching off the Arsenal game at a certain time could be another thing. There's various things that, the fans can continue doing that you might not see having an effect now, but in a report in a year's time, it might say Arsenal shirt sales down by 10%. And the stuff you done a year ago actually done something. I'm actually confident that next year there will be a report that comes out that says there's a dip in sales. Because if you look at the Chelsea game, there's a dip in ticket sales as well. It will fall in line with that. The first game back at the Emirates after COVID against Chelsea, London derby, and the tickets are not sold out. That's madness in terms of the Emirates. So I think in a year, coupled up with 3 years of losses, because we've made 3 years of losses over the last, since 2019, I think 2 more losses are bound to come because of the lack of Europe. And that'll be 5 years this club have been making a loss. On top of that, if shirt sales and TV and all that go down, he doesn't want to sell us. But he might have to, because he bought the club for $1 billion. It's worth $2 billion now. It's not going any more up from that with the Super League being scrapped. So it's only going to go down with the current ownership.
Right. Okay, that's interesting. So it won't even be a full house on Sunday.
It doesn't look like it at the moment. They're offering friends and family.
Trying to sell it.
What's that?
They're actively trying to sell it out at the moment.
Really? That's so poor, isn't it? London derby, you can't. But that's how much it's obviously dipped. That's crazy. Didn't know that. It shows that
a lot of fans have had enough now, and I'm glad to see that, because I'm really adamant that a new owner is the refreshment we need right now. I can't say whether the new owner is going to be the man, because you find out. I don't know Daniel Ek, and it might not be Daniel Ek. It might be somebody else, but it will make me hope and believe again at the very least. But with this ownership, it's just been a constant roundabout of what we see now.
That is, I've just read up something. Since you've last won the Premier League, Chelsea have won 5 Premier Leagues, 5 FA Cups, 3 League Cups, 2 Europa Leagues, 2 Champions League and the Super Cup. So that just says, doesn't it, really, what the levels at the minute. It's crazy.
He bought the club.
Channel.
What's that?
Tell her on the Chelsea channel.
I have to get that one in there before we go. But yeah, boys, it's mad. George, we'll go with your prediction first. What do you reckon?
I could see us getting comfortably be 3-0.
Really? Jeez. Bobby, what do you reckon?
1-0.
I actually think we'll win 2-0 on Sunday. I don't think they've got it in them to do what they did last year to us.
You don't know. You don't know teams, etc., do we? But yeah.
No. Turkey.
It's not a good hunting ground for us, that one.
And I'm worried about Timo Werner as well if he starts. Jesus, he can't hit a barn door at the moment. Would you take him at Arsenal, you two?
Yeah.
Would you?
Yeah. I'll go pick him up now.
Yeah.
Better than what we've got.
Do you want Eddie in that deal or not, Ben?
Yeah,
So
yeah. I'll take him the other way as well.
I feel that Chelsea.
If you got room for Bella in as well, I'll drop him off.
No, you're right. You can keep him, mate. Jesus.
I think Chelsea are going to change their shape with Lukaku. They're going to have to.
Yeah, because obviously we're playing a front. Yeah,
he's a man you change the shape for, though, isn't he? Let's be honest.
Well, I think that's
Yeah, but George, he's got a big decision though, because obviously he's got Werner, Havertz. Havertz used to play false 9. Pulisic. He's got a lot of options.
You've got to build it around Lukaku, though, haven't you? Unless he proves that over 3 months his form ain't great for some reason, you've got to build it around him.
He's taken the number 9 shirt. Number 9 shirt at Chelsea's not a good one.
Yeah. We've had a few failures over the years. We just never get a good striker. Turkish, what are you saying for the score prediction?
Yeah, I'm along the lines of I think a comfortable win for Chelsea. Actually, earlier on Aftv, I went 2-1 Chelsea because I know if I said any greater than that, I'd be dragged all over Twitter at games. People would be calling me negative. But in all honesty, I think 3-1 Chelsea and even the one that we score, that's up for question for me. I don't know why I'm saying 3-1, but I just hope that we get a goal.
Nah, you'll create chance at the end, which you always play well against us, to be fair. But so this protest will be interesting getting into the ground because we're going, aren't we? So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with that one. So Turkish, you're not going to it then? You won't be there?
No, I'll be there. I'll be at the protest. So if you're in and around from there, you just let me know. But yeah, I'm at the protest from about 2:45.
Okay, so Georgie, you're going as well, yeah?
I'll be there, mate.
All right. Boys, thanks for your time anyway. I appreciate that, you coming on.
Pleasure.
No
worries, Ben. Anytime, man.
Cheers, mate.